Hi, I'm Glenn,
And I'm Mark.
and welcome to another episode of Masonic Unity, the Right Stuff, Profiles in Masonic Leadership. So Mark, we're back here in the Museum of Masonic Culture in the historic Masonic Temple on the
Second level.
second floor, and we are here to talk about Royal Arch Masonry, and I'm very
Excited.
honored to actually be able to interview my partner, Most Excellent Mark E. Megee, who is the Most Excellent Grand High Priest, the Grand Chapter of Royal Arch for the state of New Jersey.
That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful. So he's the head of the Redcoats.
Oh.
So,
Here we are.
tell me about what you do as Most Excellent Grand High Priest.
Well, I try to coordinate all of the chapters of Royal Arch Masons throughout the state of New Jersey and the two special Mark Master Lodges. The two Mark Master Lodges, Haggai and Solomon, are specific to a degree within the Royal Arch degree system.
Okay.
And one puts them on up north, Haggai, and Solomon puts them on down south.
Okay. Interesting.
And between that and the chapters, and it really is the doorway through which people who want to receive more light in Masonry through the
Okay.
New York Rite, you must be a Royal Arch Mason.
Okay.
To be a Knight Mason, to be a A&D member. So, in order for you to do that, you have to go through this system,
Okay.
which continues a lot of the stories that we've heard
Right.
through the first three degrees.
Right.
So it's a natural continuation.
So things didn't end with the Master Mason degree?
Oh, there's more stuff beforehand and after it.
Okay. Okay.
But you have to join to find out, which we both did.
You gotta join to find out. You gotta join. So I always see Masons, as we know, love aprons, love blings. So
Yes.
what's the signature of the Royal Arch Mason?
The Royal Arch Mason. That would probably be what they refer to as the triple tau, which I don't have on me. I am wearing my official apron. I am wearing my official collar,
Yep.
which has this piece in the middle.
Okay.
This piece here is the ephod. It represents the 12 tribes of Judah. And here they are again on this special ephod.
Beautiful.
That I
Beautiful.
also wear during my year. But the triple tau would be interesting if people, it's actually shown right here on this display. It is crossbars onto a tripartite, trying to remember the exact words and they're failing me right now. But the triple tau is an important part.
Okay.
We also discussed the Holy Royal Arch.
Okay.
We go through a lot of instances in the Bible.
Okay.
There's even some talk about the Ark of the Covenant, just to make things
Wow.
a little bit more interesting.
Okay. Okay.
But that's okay, because we got some top guys working on it.
Some top guys.
Some
Very
top
appropriate.
guys.
Very appropriate. So how long have you been involved in Royal Arch Masonry?
Royal Arch Masonry has been over 25 years now. I joined after I was master at Hightstown Lodge.
Okay.
Got involved in a local chapter that was actually meeting here in Trenton.
Okay.
3x3, which are still, now they're meeting in Hightstown itself.
Okay.
I'm also a member of Scott Chapter Number 1.
Okay.
A good group of guys at all of our chapters throughout. And during the year, we have done some social aspects. We've gone out to baseball games, got to throw out the first ball of the inning. That was
very impressive.
That was good. It made it over the home stop. So.
And actually, you will see that that video in a future Right Stuff session. So keep your eyes out.
I thought I signed an NDA clause to avoid seeing that, but it was a good time.
It's good. It was great.
We enjoyed it. It was a nice time out. We also usually have reunions or effectively a Royal Arch Conclave where they put on the 4 degrees that we have.
Okay. So what are the 4 degrees?
All right, the 4 degrees would be the Mark Master degree,
Okay.
the virtual Past Master degree,
Okay.
the most excellent Past Master, the most excellent and following up with the Royal Arch.
Okay.
And if you look at the New Jersey Grand Lodge Constitution, it says that there are 3 degrees, which we know as Masons, plus the Royal Arch degree.
Okay.
So in America, the Royal Arch is sometimes referred to as part of the American York Rite system.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Well, the American York Rite system consists of 3 bodies.
Okay.
The Royal Arch, the Grand Council of Royal and Select Masters, and Knights Templar.
Okay.
Unique to the United States.
Right.
Each different jurisdiction internationally has different different groupings, different names, different degrees sometimes.
Okay.
But the American York Rite Royal Arch system is expanding throughout the world. It's kind of exciting to see it grow, and but that's up at a level above my pay grade.
Right.
That's with the General Grand Chapters. So
Okay.
I was out actually in Branson, Missouri at their annual, their triennial.
Okay.
And that was when the new Grand Chapter, Grand High Priest Tico Foley went in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was good to see him. I was proud to be able to carry a New Jersey flag,
Very impressive.
represent Royal Arch and represent New Jersey and walk in there. We had a lot of people from the General Grand Council there and also from Grand Encampment.
Nice.
So it was nice to see that unity within the 3 bodies,
Nice.
strengthening the American York Rite system.
That's great. Now, I know that in the Blue Lodges, there's a lot of traveling between lodges. Is there much traveling between chapters?
There should be.
Yeah.
There should be. Because how else do you expand what you know? You need, just like in the Blue Lodge, how you need to travel and see things.
Right.
Sometimes a different interpretation, a different presentation. I mean, it is uniform,
Yep.
much like New Jersey's, but sometimes there's a slight difference in the emphasis on something,
Right.
one thing or another.
Right.
So yeah, definitely encourage traveling around, not only within the state,
Yeah.
but to see how it's done in the different states
Right.
throughout
right.
the area.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Now, within New Jersey, approximately how many chapters are there?
I believe, I'm probably going to be wrong for this and hear from my secretary that I did it wrong. I know there's 2 Mark Master Lodges, and we are probably down to around 12 to 15 chapters.
Okay.
Some very strong with a long history.
Yep.
Others that are just trying to understand post-COVID, how do they do it?
It's hard, yeah. That's
Yeah.
affected everyone.
Every single one of the Masonic bodies has
Yeah.
been affected, and
Yeah.
York Rite's no different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One of the emphasis of my year was about raising the Royal Arch.
Yeah.
And that's about not lowering our standards
Okay.
because we're not the Grand Lodge. Our degrees are just as impressive.
They're beautiful
And
degrees.
some of them are very sublime. And we do have a lot of the regalia, a lot of the equipment for our degrees, actually right behind me.
Right.
So I'm excited to see them out. But the Royal Arch degree should be no less sublime than
Yeah.
a Master Mason degree.
Agreed.
Grand Lodge has a system that works. So why wouldn't we try to emulate that?
Right. Right.
As a good Master Mason and as a good Royal Arch Mason,
Yeah.
we should know how to open and close from memory.
Yeah.
Reports getting in on time. Notices being sent out on time. One of the common things that I preached, which I guess is dangerous for me to say that, but one of the things I did preach was, would this be acceptable if this was a Blue Lodge? Would the Grand Lodge take it with just a grain of salt that you don't memorize the
Yeah.
opening and closing ritual?
No.
Not checking in on your members,
Yeah.
collecting dues, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a normal part of the business.
Yeah.
Outside of the fun, outside of the
course.
degrees and
Of
all that
course.
sort of stuff. Tried to all incorporate.
Yeah. So it's taking Royal Arch the next step.
Trying to raise the Royal Arch, as I
Raise
said.
the Royal Arch, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do it. So you've been in Royal Arch for about 25 years, you
Yeah.
said. Who got you involved? do you have any mentors or anyone that you look up to in either Masonry or Royal Arch? Or I should say Masonry and Royal Arch.
Well, some of them are two past Grand High Priests and past most worshipful Grand Masters, Bob
Okay.
Sheridan and Doug Policastro.
Yes.
Despite their level within all the other bodies that they're involved in Scottish Rite and Grand Lodge, they always started out at the bottom of the officer rank and worked their way up.
Very important.
They weren't going to try to take any shortcuts because they had more gold around their neck than everybody else.
Right.
I'm trying to remember. Unfortunately, a lot of my mentors passed away, and a lot of them did just recently.
Yeah.
We were discussing earlier about past Grand High Priest Bill Sharp, Robert Thurmorow, Bob Stutz, who was a stalwart in the York Rite also.
Yeah.
Thurman Pace, who just passed away.
Yep.
One of the honors of my year was to make him an honorary past Grand High Priest.
That's wonderful.
Not everyone agreed with it,
It's okay.
but I thought it was necessary for a man who has done so much, not only for Grand Lodge, not only for Scottish Rite,
Right.
but actually did so much for the York Rite bodies.
Yeah.
We have an entire selection of the different bodies that he's been presided over,
Yeah.
that he's received the Grand Cross for.
Yep.
He has an AMD chapter, I believe, in Portugal,
Yes, I believe
named
so.
after him. And I just felt it was time to recognize him,
Oh,
as
wonderful.
did Grand Encampment. They recognized him as a past Grand Master of the Grand Encampment. And it was only within the past year that Grand Council recognized him
Right.
as an honorary Most Illustrious Grand Master, and
Wonderful.
us recognizing him also with
Right.
that.
Now, you in your experience have also been a Grand Master of the Council and the head of Knights Templar, correct?
Correct.
So you have run the gamut.
I
Right.
have. I'm not so sure whether I was running towards the gambit or away from the gambit, but they are in good hands now.
Yeah.
There's some new approaches being taken that may not have worked during my years,
Okay.
but something to just revisit and see,
Yeah.
hey, maybe this will work.
Some things work at one point and some things work at another point.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's okay to make mistakes, okay to fail, and
Exactly.
Masonic leadership
Yeah,
that,
yeah, definitely.
if you never try and think outside that box,
Yeah,
you're always going to be there.
yeah, definitely.
So,
So being a senior Masonic leader, what kind of guidance would you give to younger Masons or younger Masons in the Royal Arch in their careers and moving forward and anything?
okay. Not so much about elevating oneself, but more about have fun doing it. You have your Grand Lodge stuff. When you join the York Rite, make it fun. You have your serious part, the business meeting,
Right.
that needs to be, handled with the proper decorum.
Right?
But when you're downstairs eating with your companions, that's when Masonry really hits it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of us get caught up in discussions out in the parking lot.
Yep.
Sometimes till 11:30,
Oh,
12:30,
yeah. Without a
1:30,
doubt.
whether it be smoking cigars and having an adult beverage, or if it's just trying to figure out how you can work out
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think making sure you have fun, because it's not something you have to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to come out to any
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
events, but we encourage you to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. You're hanging out with
Yeah.
guys that you
It's
may
about the
not have met.
relationships
It's
you
about that
have.
relationship,
Yeah.
and really that's a big part of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
Is that relationship like you and I have had
Yeah.
for
Exactly.
I don't want to say
Many
how long
years.
since I'm being referred to as a
Many
senior elder.
years.
Thank you. But yeah, it's that relationship.
Yeah.
It's if I just hung at my lodge and you just hung at your lodge, chances are we never would have met.
Yeah. Agreed.
But it was us getting involved in Grand Lodge. It's us getting
Exactly.
involved in Scottish Rite,
Exactly.
in York Rite,
Exactly.
and just strengthening those relationships.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely would say have fun. Take the ritual work serious.
Right.
You know,
Definitely.
make that important, and encourage some new ideas.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Agreed.
And that also goes not only for my Royal Arch Masons, but it also goes for people in the blue, in the Scottish Rite.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because a good example or I considered a good example, was talking about we had a picnic, and we had 10 or 15 people show up. Not in New York, right, but
Right.
in an event, Masonic body. So they didn't do it a second year because we only got 20 people out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the previous year you got no one out because you didn't have it.
Yeah.
So there were people asking, what's going on about the picnic?
Yeah.
Well, it was canceled because we only got 20 people out.
Okay.
Well, we had pony rides, we had a bounce house, we were showing movies in the main building for kids to watch, Disney
Right.
movies.
Right.
We had stuff for adults to do, but it got canceled and considered a mistake because we only got 20 people. So we ran it again, and then we got 30 people. And they ran it again, and we got 40 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to see how many people we get this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, it's kind of exciting to see
Yeah.
that. Different approaches to different things, different leadership.
Most definitely.
But guys have got to find their style, what
Yeah.
works for them.
Yeah.
And don't be so focused on traveling up the ladder,
Okay.
getting
That's fair.
a gold collar or
Right.
an apron, because really we're all buried in a white apron.
Very true. Very true.
And as my aide to the most excellent Grand High Priest always tells me, Bud Yervez, back to basics, Mark.
Back to basics, and that applies to not only Royal Arch, but it applies to everything.
Yeah.
Very good.
You know what you've been taught? You've been taught it several times.
Yeah.
You've listened to it numerous times.
Yes.
Is go back to that basics of the brotherhood relationship, of having fun, of taking things seriously and professionally.
Right.
If you wouldn't do that in a work environment, why would you do it in a Masonic environment?
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair.
Dress appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
That means there's nights when you can be in khakis and a
Right.
comfortable polo
Definitely.
shirt provided by Forget-Me-Not Embroidery, or, sorry, shameless plug, or when you need to be inside of a tux,
Yeah.
or inside of a suit.
Yeah.
When I traveled out to Missouri and visited a Grand Lodge out there, they were in overalls and a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were comfortable with.
Right. Right.
So you want to have your sense of decorum, but you also want everyone to be comfortable.
Right.
And that goes for any of the organizations,
Yeah.
I feel.
Understood. Understood.
There's a time for the gown and the black tux.
Of course,
Or
yeah.
the kilt.
Yeah, of course.
And there is a time for just kicking back and relaxing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also getting the family involved too.
Of course.
I think that's a key thing. There's so much for them to do that they may not be aware of.
Yeah.
Be it, ladies' nights,
Mm-hmm.
be it fun events like axe throwing or bingo nights or
Right.
all the other organizations that are out there. So there's
Right.
a lot for so much to do.
Yeah.
And there's things that I want to do my year that just ran out of time.
Yeah. 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 Definitely.
I wanted to have a train and winery tour up north.
Wow.
Just didn't get off the
Yeah.
launch pad, and also a gun shoot,
Okay.
which a lot of guys were looking
Okay.
at. But only so much you can do during your year.
Okay.
My successor is looking forward to his annual conclave, or my annual conclave.
Right.
And he can be installed and
Move
rule the
forward.
Royal Arch
Okay.
for a little bit.
So as you said, your annual conclave is coming up.
Yes, it is.
What happens after your conclave? What happens to you after it's done?
Well, I take off this.
Understood. Those weights lift off your
Oh,
shoulders.
yeah. Some of the phone calls and emails may stop.
Right, right.
Uh,
But where will you go within Royal Arch, or where will you go within Masonry?
I'm just going to keep supporting the American York Rite system, my
Okay.
Grand Lodge, and my Scottish Rite.
Good.
Still stay involved with them. I've been involved for over 20 years in a lot of these
Yep.
organizations,
Yep.
so kind of hard to walk away.
No, it isn't. I mean, you're there as a mentor to other people.
Yeah,
Which is important.
just like I had my own mentors.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
It never ends.
pay it
never
forward.
ends. There you go. So what, before we close,
Okay.
what do you see for the Royal Arch or for Masonry or anything going forward?
Going forward, I think the Royal Arch may slim down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of mean that, you know, we were large when the Masonic Brotherhood was so large.
Right,
And we had places all over the state, multiples
Right.
within each county.
right.
I see it slimming down.
Yep.
You know, sort of like the bookstores have kind of slimmed down. They're not so much in malls
Yep,
anymore. And we're getting in fighting shape.
Okay,
We're going to get stronger.
good.
We're going to let our leaders do a little bit more.
Okay.
And if they go too far, we'll bring them on back, just like any good Blue Lodge
Right,
Mason would do,
right, of course.
past master.
Good.
So I see it being more of a smaller amount,
Mm-hmm.
but I see it being also regionalized a little bit.
Okay.
I see the passions there, with some of the new guys we have in.
Right.
You know, and even though they're new, they get it.
Yeah.
They know how important that relationship is.
Okay.
They know how important it is to
Right.
lead and to manage,
Yeah.
to be a good presiding officer,
Yeah.
no matter what body you're in.
Right.
I'm hoping
Mm-hmm.
that there'll be more communication,
Right.
more interplay between the three York Rite bodies in New
Right.
Jersey.
Right.
I think it's important that the Grand Commandery, the Grand Council of Royal and Select Masters, and the
Mhm.
Grand Royal Arch Chapter work together
Right. Okay.
to see that our mission is to give more light,
Mm-hmm. Right.
to use a lot of the teachings,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to, you know, be it from the Old Testament or the New Testament,
Right.
or from the legends that they've heard in the Blue Lodge,
Right.
to carry it forward and,
Yep.
and to show people a little bit more, to go from that substitute of the Master Mason
Yeah.
to the actual word, which you can find within the York Rite system.
Right. Right.
So I'm hoping that they work together, that the
Right.
leaders understand that united,
Yeah.
they're stronger.
Right.
And if they just want to go off on their own, they're missing out on a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Because prior to a few years ago, the leaders were practically the same in all the bodies.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a strength because you understand why another
Right.
body is doing what they're doing. You know,
Mhm.
their idiosyncrasies, their traditions.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Masonic unity, if I could use that quote from
Yep.
the right stuff,
Yep.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Not only for us here at the museum,
Right.
but for the York Rite system to work together, to
Right.
show that unity.
Right.
Calendars are going crazy because they're not coordinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So there are guys who have 3 or 4 things a day,
Right.
you know, from early morning till the end of the night
It's hard.
that they're running around
Burnout.
for. Yeah, it traditionally, yeah, that burnout can hurt.
Yeah.
But I think I see that talent coming in.
Good. Excellent.
You
That's
know, I see
healthy.
that caring heart from people who've been in the Blue Lodge for a while.
Yeah.
Who want a little bit more, something a little bit different, and they're being accepted into the York Rite system,
Mm-hmm.
and they're seeing avenues that they could try, that they could
Right.
excel at,
Right.
that, oh, we can do this.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to do that in my other group.
Yeah.
So I think that's important too. So
Excellent.
having fun, taking the ritual seriously, and getting back to basics.
Yeah. Wise words. Wise words. Well, it's been a real pleasure.
Good meeting you. Thank you.
Of
Nice to
course.
see
I
you.
mean, meet on a different level.
Yes.
So with that, thanks for joining us here at Masonic Unity, The Right Stuff, the profiles of Masonic leadership. And you can come and see all the Royal Arch items here at the Museum of Masonic Culture at 100 Barrack Street in Trenton, New Jersey, at the historic Trenton Masonic Temple. On the
Second floor. And please remember to subscribe down below. like our videos. We have a nice following right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I'm very proud of it. Guys, this is for you. This is your museum.
Exactly.
The right stuff. We just presented displays. But these are your displays. To come up here and see
Yeah.
the rich history
Yeah,
of Masonic culture.
exactly. And we're constantly expanding, so if you know of any items that you find in your attics or your basements or your lodges or at auctions or at garage sales you find that might do well in the museum, please don't hesitate to let us know. If you'd like to come down and get a tour of the museum, also let us know whether it's a lodge or whether it's a district or a chapter or a council or a commandery, whatever. We love showing off the museum, the right stuff, and we also like working with all of you. So thanks for all of your comments that people have sent, and we'll see you next time around. Thanks and take care. Bye.
See you later.